Bachelor Grant Ellis shares why he didn't defend himself at finale. March 26, 2025. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel, Bachelor Nation News fans. Bachelor Grant Ellis faced Garr on the season finale of the show when he broke things off, and then again at the After the Final Rose special. Licia let him have it and basically said he led her on throughout the entire season. She demanded he take accountability for what happened between them and the empty promises he made to her. Now he's explaining why he didn't really defend himself during the finale. What did he say? Keep reading to get all the details. Bachelor Grant Ellis shares why he didn't stand up for himself. Bachelor Grant Ellis and his fiancée Juliana Pasquarosa are opening up in various media stops about the shocking finale. One of the big topics is Garr calling out Grant for leading her on. In the finale, fans saw Licia tell him that it was all his fault how he acted, and he needed to take responsibility for it all. Grant let her vent and get what she needed off of her chest. He owned his part in the breakup, but also maintained that he did love her. His feelings for Juliana were just stronger. While speaking to US Weekly, "There's a lot," she said, "that I didn't align with. But I let her speak her truth and her piece. I'm not gonna sit up there and argue with her on stage about what she thought I said. But I think that having a little more clarity, when you are the Bachelor, you do see your final two contestants as somebody that could be your wife. That's where some confusion came into play. There's room for interpretation when things are said off camera. At that point in time, I can't really say much. I'm not gonna argue, I just have to accept whatever the conditions are and apologize, and let her feel how she feels because she's in a tough situation and she's hurt. I understand." Lydia told him that he was not the person she thought he was. She was obviously doubting his character. At the After the Final Rose, Lydia said she is glad that this wasn't her happy ending, because she would never want someone who loved her to be torn between two choices the morning of a proposal. She believes every woman should have a man who knows what he wants and always choose her without a doubt. Lydia believes she will find that one day. She even noted at one point that she would have a lot of questions if she was Juliana. What are Juliana's thoughts? Juliana Pasquarosa knows the things that Garr said to Bachelor Grant Ellis. However, she just believes that they are two different people who navigate things differently. Overall, she wishes Licia nothing but the best. She also noted that after hearing the things Licia said happened, she chose to give Grant grace instead of grief. Juliana understands that it is all part of the show, and he has to navigate through it all. She also said every woman on the show was amazing. Grant did apologize to Licia, and while the two were civil to one another, it was obvious Licia really wants nothing to do with Grant in the future. She did at one point say that Juliana is an amazing person. What do you think about Grant and letting Licia vent without really defending himself? Stay tuned for more updates. The accusations. A shocking twist just moments before the final rose ceremony. An unexpected bombshell was dropped. One of the final contestants, who had been eliminated just before the finale, revealed explosive details that rocked the entire show. In a shocking interview, they accused Grant of being manipulative, emotionally distant, and even deceitful behind the scenes. The accusations were as unexpected as they were harsh, especially considering how well Grant had been portrayed throughout the season. Fans who had supported him and cheered for his blossoming relationship suddenly found themselves questioning everything. How could someone so seemingly genuine have hidden such a dark side? But what was even more astonishing was Grant's response, or rather, his lack of one. When the accusations made their way to the final episode, instead of defending himself or even addressing the claims head-on, Grant remained silent. He didn't try to explain himself. He didn't speak up to clear his name. He simply let it all unfold. Grant's silence, the beginning of the end, as the dramatic conclusion of the finale aired, millions of viewers were left stunned. There was no grand speech, no passionate plea for his innocence. Grant didn't even attempt to explain the accusations. It seemed as though he had completely withdrawn from the situation. Social media erupted in confusion and frustration. Fans of the show, many of whom had followed Grant's journey from the very beginning, were left with more questions than answers. Was he guilty of the allegations? Did he truly not care about the women he had led on? Was the persona he had created on screen nothing more than a carefully crafted illusion? Grant's silence wasn't just about his refusal to defend himself, it was a statement in itself. But what exactly was he trying to say? Was he trying to protect someone else? Was he too emotionally exhausted to argue? Or was there something much deeper at play that fans didn't know about? Grant opens up. A heartfelt confession in this exclusive interview, Grant Ellis reveals the truth behind his silence. For the first time ever, he opens up about his decision to not defend himself on the night that changed everything. His words are raw, emotional, and honest, shedding light on the pressures, the emotions, and the toll that being in the Bachelor spotlight can take on a person. Grant admits that he had been dealing with personal issues that affected his ability to speak up when the accusations came to light. He explains that, in that moment, he felt completely overwhelmed by the gravity of the situation and unsure of how to navigate the storm that had erupted around him. I never wanted to hurt anyone, Grant shares. But at that moment, I didn't have the words to defend myself. I was fighting a battle I wasn't sure I could win, and the truth is, I didn't want to make it worse. Sometimes, silence is the only thing you can offer when everything else feels broken. Grant goes on to explain that he had been struggling with the intense pressure of being on a reality show, where every moment of his life was scrutinized. The weight of expectation was too much for him to handle at times, and when the accusations surfaced, he found himself trapped between wanting to protect his reputation and his relationships with the women involved. I didn't want to add fuel to the fire, he continues. It's not that I didn't care, it's that I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't have a clear answer, and I didn't want to say something that could make everything worse. The aftermath. The public backlash Grant's silence didn't go unnoticed, and it didn't take long for the backlash to begin. The public, once enamored with him, quickly turned against him. His social media pages were flooded with comments from fans who felt betrayed by his decision to not speak up. The media quickly ran with the narrative of a man who had no answers and no remorse. But despite the harsh criticism, Grant remained steadfast in his decision. In his heart, he knew he had made the right choice, even if it didn't make sense to anyone else. It's hard to explain, Grant says. But when you're in that position, sometimes the best thing you can do is step back and let things breathe. I didn't want to be another player in the drama that had already taken over the show. As time passed, Grant withdrew from the public eye, disappearing from social media and keeping a low profile. It wasn't long before rumors began swirling about his personal life, his relationships, and what he was doing in the wake of the show's fallout. But despite all the speculation, Grant remained tight-lipped. Until now? The real reason. A hidden struggle in an emotional moment, Grant reveals a secret that he had kept hidden for years. Behind the scenes, he had been struggling with personal issues that he was too ashamed to talk about publicly. It wasn't just the pressure of the show. It was something much deeper that had been eating away at him for years. Grant confesses that he had been dealing with anxiety and depression, which made it incredibly difficult for him to process the chaos that surrounded him during the finale. I was not in a good place, he admits. I felt like I was drowning, and I didn't know how to swim. I couldn't pretend to have it all together when inside, I was falling apart. He reveals that his decision to remain silent during the finale was a result of not being able to emotionally cope with the situation. He didn't have the strength to confront the accusations, not because they weren't important to him, but because he was battling his own demons in private. It's hard to explain to people who don't understand what it's like to have anxiety and depression, he says. But sometimes, the things you can't see are the things that hurt the most. I wanted to be strong. I wanted to fight for the women, but I couldn't even fight for myself. The road to redemption. Moving forward since the finale aired, Grant has been on a journey of self-discovery and healing. He's taken time away from the public eye to focus on his mental health and work through the challenges that have plagued him for so long. He sought therapy, leaned on friends and family, and taken steps to rebuild his life. Grant is now ready to speak out, not just about the finale, but about the reality of being in the spotlight and the toll it can take on a person's mental and emotional well-being. He hopes that by sharing his story, he can help others who may be struggling in silence. I want people to know that it's okay to not be okay, Grant says with sincerity. The finale wasn't just a turning point in my journey, it was a wake-up call. I had to face my own truth and start healing. Conclusion. A new beginning. As the final chapter of his Bachelor story unfolds, Grant Ellis is no longer the man who stood silently in front of the cameras. He's a man who has faced his own battles and come out stronger on the other side. While the public may never fully understand his decision to remain silent that fateful night, Grant is finally at peace with it. He's ready for what comes next, and this time, he's not afraid to speak his truth.